Hello, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us. If you're new and this is your first time, we're on chapter 3 of the story of Patsy Lee, and you might want to watch chapters 1 and 2, which is in video 1. If you want to start here, then you're welcome to. Alright, now we left off on chapter 2. We're going to take up on chapter 3. And welcome back if you're with me, and I hope you're enjoying the story, and let's get on with it. The second term of class had started. I was in BC, which was the beginning of classes. This was the first class of the day when we received the word of what we was going to do at the center. This was the first day of the second term of the 15th year, and the year was, don't worry about the year was, because it says 16/2/947. The 16th year, second term, the 16th year, the second term, the 16th high priest, the second term, the 9th year of the 47th of the millennium. I have forgotten how to read that, so we are not going to worry about years. I had been with James for about 6 months. He had bought me on, that date. This day was, as I was saying, I was sitting in class awaiting the announcements. Miss Ellen was the instructor. She walked about the room, handing a few of us an enrollment sheet for other classes, activities. Children, what I give you is a list of what is offered to those who have achieved a 4-point grade, average or higher, last semester, and is expected to maintain that grade. As long as you remain with at least a 4-point average, then you are awarded such activities. Take them home, go over them with your parents, owner, or guardian. You must have their permission for the activity offered, for it is offered for after school, between 1 to 3 hours, depending on what you have chosen. I sat and looked at the paper. There were different things offered. The one that caught my eye was musical introduction. This activity assisted you in learning to sing, write songs, and play instruments. Excuse me. I loved to sing and used to make up songs. I really wanted to join the activity. I wondered if James would allow such. Sandy and I had went outside for lunch. Tammy came to join us. I looked from one to the other. Does our master allow special activities for after classes? I asked. Depends on how your grade point is and your chores. He has been known to. What's up? Tammy asked. I want to join the musical, I replied. You go in to sing as a song, Sandy laughed. What? I like singing. I smiled with a laugh to her. All you have to do is ask. Master comes home at 5 passing and goes to his study. Just go in there and ask him. The only thing he can say is no, Tammy said. I will not get in trouble for just going into his study without permission, I asked. Patsy, you clean his study every day, Sandy told me. Yes, however, I am instructed to do it when he is not there, I told her. Sandy, our master does not care. If we want to talk to him, just go in there and ask, Tammy said. I nodded to her, and the whole day I was nervous. Since I had come to James, I had never really spoken to him. I was afraid of him. I did not want to get in trouble and be whipped again. Now, mind you, I saw him every day, as we always had meals together. However, I remained quiet and did not speak as the others did. After classes, I took all the papers and reports of the day and placed them on his desk in the basket with my name on it. Then moved to my room to do my studies. Then an hour passing, I moved down to his office, as his was the first I was to clean. The whole time I thought of what he would say, more so what I would say. How would I ask him? I knew there was a coin debt to join. Perhaps I should not ask. Besides, I was no more than a Thornton, thanks to my father. I continued to clean the offices, thinking of my father, what he had done to me, my younger sister. I did hope she was as lucky to have an owner as I did. I could not help yet to think about her, and tears came to my eyes. I tried to think of my chores and the cleaning, and more so on the musical thing than on Jolene. I knew I would never see her again. How I hated my father. It was 5 passings, and I was on the 3rd office when Sandy came into the room. Master's home. He just went into his office. Going to ask him? She asked. She seemed excited about what I wanted also, and I looked to her. Sandy, I am scared. What if he's displeased and whips me? I asked her. Tammy came up behind her and started laughing. Master is not going to whip you for asking a question, Tammy said. It costs coin. There is a 12 gold debt, plus the cost of the instrument, I told them. So, they both said. I am a Thornton. Perhaps spending coin on me is not a good thing to ask for, I told them. Master pays 15 for me to be in the pleasure rows, Patty said, coming up on us in the office. I looked to her. What is that? I asked her. It teaches to be more pleasing to masters, she told me. That would further your training. This is not going to further my Thornton training, I said. Just ask him, Sandy said. Yeah, the worst he could say is no. He is not going to whip you, Tammy said. I looked to the 3 of them. All right, I will ask. However, if I get in trouble, I started to say. You will not, they said, and I moved past them and down to Master's office, or study. Actually, it was the same room. John looked up to me and opened the door, and I walked in and held in the center of the room. James was looking over our class papers. I remained silent. He looked up to me. What is it, Patsy? He asked. My master, I started to say, and I felt a tightening in my stomach. Forgive your Dinah for disturbing my master, I said as I was scared. I heard him laugh softly. Patsy, you are not disturbing me. If I had been busy, John would not have allowed you in here. Now out with it, young girl, he said sternly, and well, that did not help. I got even more afraid. Forgive me, your Dinah. Your Dinah wanted to know if my master would allow your Dinah to join the musical introduction at levels. Forgive my master. I said, more so rambling. Now that was not all that hard, was it? He asked with a smile. Forgive me for asking, I replied. Patsy, I seen where you had circled that on the enrollment form. What instrument do you think you want to play? He asked. The string instrument of the guitar, my master. Your Dinah's father used to play it, and your Dinah used to sing, and your Dinah's father showed your Dinah how to hold it and such. This was before Mother died, I said sadly. Then it seems you already know a little about the instrument. Might as well learn more of it, he said with a smile. Really? I asked. Really, he said. I really was not thinking, or I had never have done it. However, I raised and ran to him and placed my arms around him and hugged and kissed his cheek. Thank you, thanks to my master, I said, all excited, and I heard him start laughing. Then I realized what I was doing as I heard Candace behind me. What have you done to her? She asked with a laugh. His arm was around my back, and I found myself on his lap. Nothing. I just allowed her to join the musical entertainment after classes, and I received a hug and a kiss for it. He said, amused. Patsy, I did not know you enjoyed music that much, she said with a laugh. Forgive your Dinah. Your Dinah was just so excited, my mistress. I said almost in tears. I just knew I should not have touched him. Without permission, I would be whipped. It is all right, Patsy. I will have the vouchers for you in the morning, and I will fill out the enrollment. However, you have to complete your chores, your studies, and keep that grade point up, he told me. Yes, my master, I replied. I moved from his lap back into a heel. I felt Candace behind me, her hand on my shoulder. Off with you. Get ready for dinner, she told me. I blinked and looked back to her, then at my master. What is it, Patsy? He asked. I am not going to be whipped for touching my master, I asked again. He laughed. Why would I wish to whip you for my hugging kisses? Get, you little fool, as Candace said. He said with a smile. I stood and ran out into my room to get ready. Sandy and the others were waiting for me. Well, Sandy asked. He said yes, and I did not get whipped, and I even hugged and kissed him, and he still did not whip me. I told them all excited. Our master is not a monster, Patsy said. We had to get ready for dinner, so they went to their rooms. My schedule changed after that day. I would be at the education center until 4 passing. Then I would go home and do my studies, then work on my chores and have dinner, and then my chores I would finish. Then I would go to bed. We had special performances, and James would see that everyone in the house came to them. I always finished my chores, and I always finished my studies. However, it was hard, and my grade point average was 5, and James was very proud of me. On one of our performances, I sung lead. James had given me a bouquet of roses and said I sung like the angels of Odin. He said I had a gift and that he would assist me in developing it as much as he could. That was the year of 48. It was the last of classes for that year term, and I was now in the 17th level. Things again were going to change for me. Chapter 4. It was the date of... We're not going to get into the date. Second half of my 17th level of classes, we were all setting out in the garden. It was the first day of the week, no classes. Classes would be out for the following 3 months. Now, what I had failed to mention about said classes were out. We woke at 8 passing, we had breakfast at 9 passing, lunch at 12 passing, and dinner was at 8. After dinner, we did our chores. Mine were still the offices. That took me from 10 passing until 4 passing. Then we had what was called free time until dinner, and then lights out, which was at 10 passing. That was the first day of the week to the 5th day of the week. The 6th and 7th day did not change. Now, as I was saying, we were all in the garden when When I say all, there was Sandy, who is now in 16th level, and my closest friend. I was very close to Sandy, and I told her everything. Sandy was branded with the Rose brand when she was born. Her owner owed James a lot of coin and could not pay, so James took her for payment. She was only in 8th level at the time. Tammy, who is now in 17th level, she came to James when she was 5 years in 5th level. Her and her mother. She was a Lily branded. Her mother is Rose branded. Her mother was one of the courtesans that were in the serving area of the house. Patty was Rose branded. And in the 18th level, she was a gift when she was 12 level from the high priest after James had the side buildings of the palace of Valhalla built. She had been born in the palace. Her mother was also owned by James. Then there was Susan, and she was in 7th level, and she had a Lily brand and had been with James since she was transferred. Her mother and father were owned by James. He had bought them when they could not pay their taxes. They were from the village of Crisia. The Count had placed them into Thorntoncy for failure to comply to the tax decree. James, seeing the female was with child, and the two not wishing to be separated, bought them, both. As we were sitting there talking about classes and such, Candace came out of the main house. When she did, we all stood and healed. She had a girl with her. "Greetings, girls. Be as you were," she told us, and we all stood and returned to the table where we were sitting at. "Girls, this is Lauren. She is new to Cumberland, so the 5 of you make her feel welcome. She has already seen her room, and I have shown her around, so I leave her in your hands," she said. The young girl looked as scared as I was when I first came. I stood and offered her my hand. "Hi, I am Patsy," I said, smiling, and she took my hand, and I guided her to the other chair at the table. Candace moved back inside as we started to introduce ourselves to her. She told us that her and her family had been placed into bondage and given to the Atlantis Bank conductor, for her father did not pay his debt, and she was sold from them. She was very upset, and we all did what we could to comfort her. It was the last day of the week, and I and Patty was sitting in the garden with my guitar and music papers. I was writing a song, and Patty was being silly to help me. "I know you can write a song about fish flying and birds swimming." She had laughed. Who ever heard of fish flying and birds swimming? I said and pushed her back. Lauren came out to us and sat on her knees. With a smile, we both looked up to her. You play very good, she told me. Thank you, I replied. I was wondering, are we permitted to watch the VisionCon? She asked. I looked to Patty, and Patty to me. Then we both looked to her. If we want to just go in the sitting room, if no one is watching it. Sandy told her. Well, there was no one watching it, and a music production is going to be on. Patsy, you might enjoy it also. Would you two watch it with me? She asked. Sure, I said and stood up. Great, she replied. I guess I am coming also, Sandy laughed, and we moved inside to the sitting room. What channel is it on? Patty asked. Channel 12, Lauren told her, and Patty took the transmitter and turned the vision on into Channel 12. At first, it was a program about a little girl and her pet snake, so we watched that. Then, as we watched, the royal crest of the Humburgs came on, and music started to play. I sat there and watched the vision with her. Mike and the Thunderers were conducting the program. I knew about Mike. We had a lot of his songs in classes. However, the songs he was singing was nothing like the ones we had in classes. Then another singer came in by the name of Lorelei. The songs they were singing were not the normal songs of our Lord. And I listened and watched more. Then my heart jumped, and Lord to pray, I was in love. This one came on the stage in a silk black outfit. He had long black hair, and the makeup he wore brought out his eyes, and as I said, I was in love. Who is that? I asked Lauren. You don't know Danny Lee? She asked as if she could not believe I asked such a question. No, I only know Mike and Lorelei, because we have their songs in classes. We do not have any Danny Lee, I told her. That would be because most Danny Lee's music is not of our Lord and not allowed at the Education Center. Lauren explained, and I watched more. Could you imagine us dancing to this in classes? Our instructors would kill over, Sandy said, laughing and falling back on her back. I laughed at her and listened to Danny Lee. He could sing to me all night long, I told them, and they pushed and laughed at me. Patsy Lee and Danny Lee, Lauren laughed. Hey, that is my name, I said, and then sighed some. Or was my name, was Patsy Lee, I said, and Sandy placed her arms around me. Do not be sad, Patsy. We love you, and we care for you, Sandy said, and I smiled to her, and my little sister pushed into my head. The production was over, and I just hated it. This is where you girls are. We heard Candace say, and we hid looking to her. I have looked all over this estate for the three of you. We were watching the royal production. It was my idea. Please forgive us, Lauren said. Forgive you for what? Because I couldn't find you? At least I need not return to our master's study and announce I have lost the three of you, Candace said with a laugh. You are allowed to watch whatever you want. Patsy, James is wanting you in his study. she told me. Yes, my mistress, I said, and stood and hurried to his study. As I approached the door, John, as always, opened it, and I walked in and healed. James looked up to me and smiled. "How is my Patsy?" he asked. "Very good, my master," I replied. "Patsy, tomorrow is the gathering, and I request you be present." He instructed me, and I felt a tightness in my stomach and a fear. For when we were present at the gatherings, it meant we were to serve the pleasure of his guest. I was his Dinah, and he could very well have me do as he wished, and all the other girls of age served. Why should I think I should not? I would say he noticed how I felt. "Yes, my master," I replied sadly, "I believe." "Patsy, what is amiss?" he asked curiously and concerned. "Nothing, my master. Forgive your Dinah. Just a little scared is all," I told him. "My friends are not all that mean, I do not think. They will not harm you, I do not think," he told me. "Forgive your Dinah. Does your Dinah wear a garment or nothing?" I asked, for I knew Tammy and Sandy wore nothing at all to the gatherings. Tears came to my eyes as I asked. I was scared. No master had ever touched me, and I was of age to be used. "Oh, Odin de pray, Patsy, come here to me, girl," he said with a laugh and a motion. I stood and moved quickly to him. He placed his arms about me and rubbed my head. "You wear whatever you wish, and have your guitar in tune," he said with a bright smile, and I looked to him. I was shocked at what he said. Your Dinah's guitar?" I questioned, not believing what he had said. He was going to have me sing for them? "Your Dinah is not to serve the pleasure of masters?" I asked. "Well, you are of age, and if they wish you to, then you would be available. However, I want you to sing, silly," he said, and tapped my nose with his finger, and I laughed through my tears. I do not want my youth unhappy. If you do not wish to serve the pleasure, then I will label you off limits," he told me. My stomach felt a lot better, and I smiled to him. "Really, my master?" I asked. "Really, my Dinah. You do not have to do anything you wish not to when it comes to the pleasure of men. You have a lily brand, not a rose. You need not be a pleasure thwarted," he explained to me. "Thank you, my master," I said, and he placed me off his lap. "Also, your chores. I am changing. Laureen will be responsible for the other 4 offices. You are responsible for mine, and mine only," he informed me. "Yes, master. Then what of the rest of my time?" I asked. "Music. You are going to start being my entertainment. Now off with you," he said, and placed a stern swat to my bottom, and I jumped with a laugh. "Yes, my master." I then ran out of the office. I had to tell Sandy. During the week, there was no classes. James held gatherings every 6th day. I was no longer allowed to assist in the garden. I was to prepare for the gathering, so my day spent writing songs and practicing. I have to say I was enjoying myself. The master had given me a music system. It would record and play. Sandy told me I was in love with Danny Lee, and he had bought me... No, I'm sorry. Tammy had told him, our master, that I was in love with Danny Lee, and he had bought me a few of his recordings, also a few others. I was happy. I never thought I would be happy as a Thornton. Again, I hoped my sister was also. I felt guilty, having the love of James and the others, and not knowing how she was or who she was with. Chapter 5. It was the 6th month of the first year cycle. I had been the entertainment at the gatherings at Cumberland Mills now for about a month. I had just placed my guitar in its holding when James came over to me. I moved to my knees. "No, you do not come," he said, and he took me by the hand and led me over to where the others were standing. "This is our Patsy," he told them, and they all smiled and said hello to me. "Greetings, masters and mistresses," I said shyly. They all told me how much they enjoyed my singing and asked about the songs I had sung, and I had told them I wrote the most of them. They seemed to be very impressed. I had been standing with Janice they had seemed very impressed. I had been standing with Janice and a couple of the other courtesans off to the side when one of James' friends came over. His name was Tony Kramer, and Sandy was always with him. However, she had not been this day. I really was not sure where Sandy was this day. Anyway, he came over to me, and I noticed he had 2 drinks in hand. I moved to my knees as the others moved away from me. I watched them leave. He held the drink out to me. "No need for that. Raise back up," he said very kindly to me, and I remained standing and took the drink, smiling to him. James tells me you're off limits. He also says it is your choice. Tell me the reason in this," he said, and his voice was not stern. I looked at him and shied back some. "Because Edina is pure and scared," I told him. Truthfully. "What is there to be scared of?" he asked. "Edina is without knowing, master," I said to him. I guess I should have felt a little uneasy. However, I did not. James was very good to me, and he did own me, and all the others served his guest, all besides me. "Your pleasure duties are nothing to be ashamed of, or scared of," he told me. "Master wishes to bed Edina, for she is pure," I asked him. "Well, you're very desirable, is all I will say. Also, I enjoy teaching the new ones their pleasure duties, and James will not do it himself," he said with a laugh. "My master does not use his girls?" I then asked. "No, he leaves that to me. So frankly, no one may touch you until I introduce you to the duties, and he will not allow it until you wish it," he then told me. I looked at him with a laugh. "So you only bed the new ones that are new?" I asked. "No. However, I am paid coin to do so," he said with a chuckle. I liked Tony. He was sweet and funny, and really when he spoke, he placed you at ease with him. "Master is trying to talk his way into Edina's cell," I said, teasing. "Yes, I need the coin," he teased back. "Master promises not to bite?" I further teased. "No, I like biting. So?" he questioned. He urged me. I was a little scared, yet it was only for all the other girls had to serve. I felt guilty and nodded my head to him. He smiled and took my hand and guided me over to where James and the others were. "My friend, permit me into Patsy's cell," he said, and James looked to me, then to Tony, then back to me. "Patsy, are you sure?" he asked. I nodded my head a little uneasy. "Yes, my master, I will serve," I told him. After all, he had done so much for me, and I felt it my duty to do as the others did. "Very well. Tony, you may go," he said, and I first got very scared, then started to laugh as it all happened so fast. My drink was taken, and I was swept into the arms of Tony, and kissed on the lips, then on the nose, and then on the head, and back on the nose. He carried me to my room and tossed me on top of my bed. I bounced a couple times and looked up at him, then heeled on the bed. He moved over to me and undone the 2 buttons of my dress, then raised it above my head and off of me. I was scared. My stomach fluttered. I had no idea what he was going to do to me. He started to touch my body. As I remained heeled, he pushed my thighs apart and started again to touch me. I remained still. Then his touch started to feel good. Now, he was very gentle with me and slow, and it did not hurt, and it felt quite good, to be frank, and I liked it. I had no idea what I was scared of. This was not bad. It did not hurt, and I enjoyed what Tony had done. That night, Tony taught me and told me what Dinah Need was, and also what the command of please me meant, and a few other things. When the night was over and he left me to get cleaned up and to bed, I did go. One night, about a month later, I dreamt of what Tony had done. However, it was not Tony in my dreams, it was Danny Lee. Yes, I had a crush, a very big crush, bad crush, and was infatuated with that singer. He was just all. Really do not know how to explain it. I could just see me and him hand in hand. Silly, was it not? I would wake laughing and moving to the bath. Then I opened Sandy's door and peeked in. She sat up from the bed. "You never guessed the dream I had?" I laughed, moving inside and sitting on her bed. "What, you become free and marry Tony?" she teased. "No," I said and pushed her back. "I dreamt I was with Danny Lee, like Tony," I told her. "Patsy, you're so silly," she said. "You dream of Tony. I would not want to shatter that dream," I told her, as I knew she really liked Tony. "Yes, one day he is going to own me. I know it," she smiled. "One day," I laughed. The years passed fast. Actually, before I knew it, I was in 21 level. I was graduating from classes. I could not believe it. I was actually out of classes. It was the day of my graduation. There was a surprise concert after graduation. The Royal Concert were going to perform, and Danny Lee was going to be there. I could not believe it. I was actually going to see Danny Lee in person. I was so excited. I received Thornton honors. I also was the only Thornton to receive a recognition from King Leon, who was the king of Atlantis. I received a music recognition, which allowed me to attend the finishing classes for entertainment, if my owner would allow. Most Thorntons received finishing classes for rose pleasure and servings, not for entertainment. Besides, maid dance. I was excited, and James was very proud of me. Tammy and the others came over and gave me a hug and smiled. "Congratulations," they all said. "Master has to agree," I told them, as if he would not. "Get serious." Patty laughed, and we all heard music start, and we ran to the education hall. As the fast music played, I knew Danny would be coming out on stage, and he did. He came out and slid across the stage and grabbed a mic and moved right into a song called Sweet Lover. I stood there and imagined he was singing just to me. I know how silly. Then after his song, he spoke. Greetings, graduation class of 53. I hear by the royal family that you all love me, so I agreed to come and sing. Was that a bad idea? He asked, and everyone screamed no, including me. He laughed. Well, do you want to hear another song, or shall I go home? He then asked. Sing, everyone shouted. Well, since you put it that way, I will go home, he said, and started into a song. I laughed, and everyone started to cheer. That night, I was on the mountain of Odin, listening to him sing and watching him move. I would love to be beside him on that stage, and so would 500,000 others, and I knew this. I was one girl in a million. Besides, I was a Thornton, and he was a performer and free. However, the whole night, it seemed like he was looking and singing just to me. I was in my room working on a new song. It was the day after graduation. Master wants you ASP in his office. You're in so much trouble, Sandy said, laughing, and I knew it was not true. What did you tell him I did now? I told her. Everything, she laughed. I stood and moved down to James' study, and John opened the door. I entered and healed. As always, he looked to me from his desk. You will continue to be the entertainment for my gatherings. Also, the king has requested you to entertain at the monthly gatherings of the circle. The first of the week, you will report to Atlantis Finishing Entertainment Center, he said, very stern, and as if I had been in trouble. I blinked and started to laugh. Really, my master is allowing it? I asked. Yes, really, he said, with a smile, and I stood and ran to him and wrapped my arms around him and started to kiss him. Thanks to master, thanks to my master, thank you so much, I cried, and he laughed as usual. I really like surprising you. I always get kisses and hugs when I do, he said, amused, and I moved down to my knees before him. Forgive your Dinah, I replied. Of all the girls I have had, Patsy, you are the sunshine of them all. I am very proud of you. One day you will see just how proud. You no longer clean my study, as you will not have time. Finishing classes are nothing like education levels. You keep a 5 average for me. In order for you to do that, you will need all your time on your studies, he told me, and I smiled. Yes, my master, I said happily. I was at the gathering of the kings. Sandy and Tammy were also there with me. I had taken a break from the singing when 2 girls of the castle came over. We used to have the Humbergs singing here. Now it is you, one of the girls said. As in Prince Michael, I asked. No, Prince Daniel, better known as Danny Lee, the other said, and I blinked. Danny Lee is Prince Daniel Humberg? I asked. I could not believe it. Yes, not a lot know that. However, when he sung here, he did not sing as he does on stage, these others said. That was a nice shock, if there was ever any. My heart dream was a prince. Now that placed the end to my love affair. by far, as I was branded, and he was royalty. The only thing I could be to him was a servant, and rumors had it that Daniel Humberg had nothing to do with any Thorntons. It was also said he had no tolerance for them. Still, I liked his singing, and I was still in love with him, as all young girls were. However, I learned all my dreams were just that, dreams, and dreams that could never come true. I went home and wrote a song. The song was Dreams. Could never be. Sandy and the others all knew it was written for Danny Lee. However, as not many knew who Danny was, even less knew the song was written because of him.